Cosmic Byte is well known in India for its affordable peripherals. They usually don't foray into the higher price segments with their products, but what if a brand like Cosmic Byte introduces a premium product with a price to match this label? Today, we'll be seeing the result of this unprecedented event, and I'll be reviewing Cosmic Byte's latest rebranded controller, the Cosmic Byte Starforge. This is Cosmic Byte's most expensive controller to date. Hello everyone, I'm Fang, and I welcome you to my little tech review channel. And yeah, you heard that right, rebranded. Cosmic Byte doesn't manufacture any of its products. More on that later in the video. Keep watching and you'll learn the truth behind the borderline scam going on here. Disclaimer, I bought this controller with my own money and Cosmic Byte has no influence on the thoughts and opinions presented in this review. As always, let's begin with the unboxing. The Cosmic Byte Starforge comes in a pretty sizable box, and we see the classic Cosmic Byte orange and black colors. And while I open this box, go ahead and click on the subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot, and it encourages me to make more honest reviews like this. Inside the box, we see some pretty interesting things. The first thing I see is this product information card for a copper water bottle. I think I got a refurbished unit or something from Amazon, bro. There should have been a manual for the controller in here, but there isn't one. Anyways, next we see the controller. We'll get to it in a sec. Under the controller, we have a braided USB A to C cable. It has Cosmic Byte's classic orange and black color as well, which is a nice touch. Then we see the wireless 2.4 GHz adapter, and I wonder what this screwdriver is for. Now, I know your eyes have been on this little compartment here. What are these things, you ask? Well, these are the Hotswapable TMR modules that go into the Starforge's analog stick. It's a really interesting feature. More on this in a sec. Let's start with the build and appearance of this controller. The Cosmic Byte Starforge looks pretty good. The faceplate is removable and it has a nice, stealthy, matte black texture. The Cosmic Byte logo is silk screened onto the faceplate. The controller has transparent ABXY buttons and the buttons light up when you turn it on. The D-pad is a medium-sized cross-style D-pad. It looks nice. The two RGB strips on the front give the controller a cool look. It's quite customizable and I've been using it in the trigger indicator mode, as you can see here. The back half of the controller has a dotted, stippled plastic texture, and at this kind of a price point I would have expected rubber grips, but whatever. The controller doesn't slip at all when using. Overall, the build quality is decent and there isn't any creaking or machining marks anywhere. The little indent where you're supposed to lift the faceplate from has a bit of a sharp edge. It's not sharp enough to cut your finger, but it would have felt a lot more premium if it was smoothed out. Overall, it's a pretty comfortable controller to hold and use. The analog sticks are the most interesting and unique feature of this controller. The Starforge uses TMR sticks, specifically it uses K-Silver's GS20 TMR modules. These are pretty good, and they're also used in other budget controllers like the Beitong Kunpeng 40 and the Machinec G5 Pro V2. On popping open the faceplate, we can see after we take the stick caps off, we can see the TMR module, and with the included tool, you can pull it out and you can swap out to any of the included modules in the box. There's 3 pairs included in the box. By default, it comes with 120 gram force sticks. The other sticks included are the 140 gram force modules, the 80 gram force modules, and the 60 gram force modules. I'm using one of the 60 gram force modules here because that's how I like to configure mine. Lighter on the right stick and heavier on the left stick. When you do install the modules, make sure you push it down all the way because sometimes it just doesn't quite connect. The JS20 modules themselves are quite good. There are no errors or issues in all of the modules that I got. They're all very linear and there isn't much of a center bump at all. But the stick experience is hindered by one factor, the anti-friction rings. They're nice and there's like no friction on the left ring, but on my unit there's a little bit of a scratchiness on the right stick. Right at the top here, I don't know why it is, but it has a little bit of a scratchiness and that takes out a few points. The sticks perform as expected in the circularity test and polling rate test. There's not much jitter and the circularity is even. It performs well. The ABXY buttons are membrane rubber dome switches. In terms of feel, they're pretty mid. The membrane buttons used here don't get like stuck or anything, but they feel a little sluggish when using. There's practically no pre and post travel, which is nice on paper, but it feels a little weird and abrupt to use. At this kind of a price point, I would have preferred to see some mechanical buttons. They do look quite nice with the transparent look and the shine through legends. I'm not a fan of the 4 colors used here as it takes away from the otherwise stealthy vibe of this controller. Another really cool feature of this controller is that you can use the included screwdriver to turn this screw here in the middle of the ABXY buttons and it switches from a Xbox layout to a Nintendo Switch layout. and the buttons actually switch like physically and like in the software. It's very cool. It's a very cool feature. There's a little bit of a rumble to indicate that the mode has switched. Now let's talk about the D-pad. The D-pad is actually quite good. It's tactile, responsive, and it handles diagonals well. But the diagonals are not as easy to hit as I would have preferred personally, because there's a little bit of a gap in here. If you look at other like good D-pads that are in this cross style, the diagonals are easy to hit because the D-pad is physically larger, so the diagonals are actually easier to hit. On smaller D-pads, you'll usually see some like a circle or like a little bit of a place to actually be able to press the button. So I would have preferred if this was like a circular D-pad maybe, or if it was larger, or if you got some modular D-pads in the box. But the D-pad performs fine. I do well in fighting games with this as long as I keep the diagonals in mind, and platformers are fine. The shoulder bumpers are good, they're tactile and there's almost no pre-travel. They're lightweight too, so they're easy to use. They're not noisy at all. The Starforge features optical triggers. They're supposed to be more accurate and longer lasting than Hall effect triggers. I honestly have no clue in this regard, but what I do know is that it feels okay. The travel distance and sensitivity is good. There's barely any pre and post travel, but it feels a little rough to use. That's because the controller has impulse triggers, like in Xbox controllers. The trigger vibration is a nice feature, but the implementation is such that you can feel the motor when you're pressing the trigger normally. This leads to a scissor-like sound and a rough feeling on your fingertips. Also, there's barely any games that support these trigger vibrations, and this comes out as a pointless gimmick to me personally. Another thing to note, the triggers are not wide enough for me. They're so slim that my fingers actually hurt a little bit after using them for a while. It's because of this sharp edge here. It's not sharp, but it's like a sharp corner with a rounded edge. So when you do press it a lot, it kind of like hurts your fingers over time. The stipple texture on the triggers is quite good. It offers nice grip. Performance-wise, the triggers are great. I am being a little harsh in my critique because I've used a lot of good controllers in this price range from brands like Gillikit, 8BitDo, GameSir, FlyDigi, and those controllers don't seem to have any of these issues. And I'll tell you in a minute why the Cosmic Byte controller suffers through all these shortcomings and little quality issues. There's 4 programmable back buttons in the back. They're quite good, and they can only be programmed into macros to be set on the controller itself. They're easy to reach, and they're not easy to like hit accidentally. The controller has gyroscope. It only works in the Nintendo Switch mode. It's accurate enough to play like Switch titles, but it's not accurate enough to be playing like Call of Duty or other shooting titles. Let's talk about the haptics of the controller. The rumble here is quite good. The Starforge uses similar motors to the PS5 DualSense controller, and you can feel it. It's super accurate and detailed, and it makes for a very immersive experience in games. The intensity and frequency of vibrations is adjustable via button combinations. There's 4 levels that you can set it to, and I use it at the second highest vibration strength of the 4 options. The trigger vibrations are a pointless gimmick, as I mentioned before, due to the lack of games supporting this feature. There is no software to the controller. You can customize the controller to a good degree with just button shortcuts listed in the manual, but I would have preferred if there was a software. Even just a phone app would have been nice. The Starforge can be used in 2.4 GHz mode, wired mode, and Bluetooth mode. The platforms supported are Windows, iOS, Android, Nintendo Switch, and apparently it supports Tesla cars. I don't own a Tesla car, and I don't think I ever will, but I mean, I guess they're claiming it, so. In wired and 2.4 GHz mode, the controller works at a 1000 Hz polling rate, which I confirmed with the polling rate tester application. There was very little jitter, and the performance is pretty good. I don't have the exact latency numbers, but there's no perceivable latency in any of the modes. The performance of the controller was flawless in my testing. Here is a sound test of the controller. Now let's talk about the problem with this controller. When I first opened the controller, I noticed something suspicious. Most brands that make their own controller have a solid indicator that this controller is made by them, like an RGB logo or a solid badge indicating their own brand. But Cosmic Byte only has this little Cosmic Byte logo silk screened onto the faceplate. It got me thinking, wait, isn't this just a rebranded controller? Well, that's to be expected from Cosmic Byte, but I wonder what the original controller costs. And so I went investigating. I used reverse image search to look for a similar looking controller, but to no avail. All I got in the search results was the Starforge controller. After a day, it suddenly struck me. I went to Alibaba and I used their search similar by image feature. And lo and behold, this is the original manufacturer. And what? It's listed for just rupees 1700. Even if we add shipping costs and GST and whatnot, the controller should not cost more than 4000 rupees in my opinion. We don't even get any cool custom faceplates. So the Cosmic Byte Starforge is an interesting controller. It has some really cool features like the Hotswapable sticks and the interchangeable ABXY button layout. And all in all, it's honestly not even a bad controller. But at the earth-shattering price of 5500 rupees, I cannot recommend this controller. At this price point, you have so many better options from brands like GameSir and 8BitDo. If the Starforge's price ever goes down to 4300 or below, then I can recommend this controller. The high price combined with Cosmic Byte's reputation for poor QC and customer service make this a no bueno for me. In the first place, the controller lacks the polish that would come with a price tag like this. Here are the things that I expect from a controller at this price. Better buttons would be good. Ideally, mechanical buttons would be nice, but that's a personal preference. But even if you use membrane buttons, it should feel better than these. Good software for customization is a must. The controller should have a polished feel. The basic features of the controller cannot have any issues. The triggers, the analog stick experience, the grip, and other basics have to be flawless in a controller at this price. Extra accessories like a charging dock or a carrying case or something like that would have been nice. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this review. This has been Fang. Subscribe and like the video.
Finish him. Fatality. Liu Kang wins.